Another complicated situation is observed on the Kazakh oil market. Russian companies suspended their oil shipments to the country due to the changes in legislation of the neighboring country. Starting February 1st, the rate of customs duty for oil export from Russia to the customs union member states jumped from $0 to $270 per ton. Find out more from the next report. Russian oil companies have suspended oil supply to Kazakhstan due to changes in Russian legislation. Starting February 1st, customs rates for Russian oil exported to customs union member states amounted to $270 per ton. Previously, there was no oil duty for the export to Kazakhstan. Russia's main consumer of raw materials in Kazakhstan is Pavlodar petrochemical plant. It operates exclusively using Russian oil. According to Interfax, the company may run out of supplies in a few days, although the plant doesn't confirm this information. An anonymous employee of Russia's major oil company Lukoil said the supplies will be restored in the coming days. We're waiting for the official notification from the Federal Customs Service on what rates they will set for the export duties. As soon as we receive clarification from the government, we will immediately resume the supply, one way or the other. Kazakhstan's energy ministry has warned the population of a possible deficit of fuel in the country. Sawat Munbayev said that the suspension of oil supply was a total surprise. On Friday, it was announced that Tengiz Chevroil company, which operates Kazakhstan's Tengiz field, stopped pumping oil through the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline. Azerbaijani news agency Trans Capital reports that oil supply through the pipeline will not be resumed during the year. Currently, oil is sent by rail through Azerbaijan to the Georgian Black Sea port of Batumi, one of oil terminal of which belongs to Kazmunaygas company. According to some information, the pumping of oil from Tengiz field was terminated due to the absence of signed transportation agreements. Meanwhile, highway constructors in Kazakhstan do not look for alternative routes. West Europe-West China project developers have once again stumbled on a village in southern Kazakhstan that lies in their way. Residents of 30 houses at Turkestan town suburbs do not want to see the route in their backyards, while local authorities seem to not notice the problem. The next report has more. The population of Turkestan city protest against the construction of the highway West Europe-West China. The new thoroughfare will be placed literally over the yards of the local residents. I don't mind. The highway is a beneficial project, but it shouldn't be constructed right here. It is simply not smart. The cost of the project, approved by the governments of several countries, is estimated at $7 billion. This high-cost venture is funded by several foreign banks, including the European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, World Bank, Asian Bank, Islamic and Japanese banks. However, there is a condition set by the investor which implies that the construction of the highway should not impair the interests of ordinary citizens. The building restriction line should be at least 50 meters away according to the world norms, but here it is only about 8 to 15. Meanwhile, it seems that the state officials already decided what to do with the village. A separate driveway was created for the private sector, and this part of the road was blocked from the main highway with noise shields. The proposed option doesn't suit local residents, while the dialogue with the authorities is not established yet. This is not the only problematic road section in southern Kazakhstan. Several villages along the way protested the construction in the past, but later were able to find a compromise with authorities. News about another failed dialogue, this time between power suppliers and their clients, came from eastern Kazakhstan. The main power supply company in the region, Shigis Energy Trade, has notified local enterprises about their need to find new suppliers. The company itself can no longer guarantee the uninterrupted flow of electricity.
Eastern Kazakhstan faces a tariff war. Ust-Kamenogorsk is one of the few cities in the country where the cost of electricity has not increased since the new year. Anti-monopolists are at law with the main local power supply organization, the Shigis Energo Trade Company. Even region's residents feel the tension.
We have our own station. It should supply us for free.
We have our own hydropower station. Why increase the prices again? We actually pay for some mediators.
Shigis Energo Trade repeatedly stated the need of tariffs raise, noting debt to suppliers and warning of possible power cuts. More recently, the company informed regional enterprises that it can no longer guarantee the uninterrupted power supply and suggested them to find new suppliers. We suggest that until Shigis Energo Trade issue is resolved, thought they better sign contracts with other power supply organizations, which will guarantee uninterrupted supply. The regional prosecutor's office intervened in the case. The supervisory authority considered the decision illegal. In addition, according to the deputy head of the prosecutor's office, Bakhitjan Mambetov, this was not the first time the company made independent decisions.
Shigis warned its customers about the price increase. A special examination was launched to review this issue, and Shigis leadership received a clarification that prices cannot be increased without an approval of the Natural Monopolies Department.
Now the regional authorities are considering alternative energy sources. Specialists of the National Nuclear Center proposed to build a nuclear power plant in Kurchatov town. State officials hope that the project will be implemented eventually. According to their information, the region's electricity deficit has already reached about 13%.
Meanwhile, another conflict is brewing in Pavlodar. Local cooperatives of apartment owners and sole proprietors cannot decide who should provide maintenance services to the city residents.
The conflict between cooperatives of the apartment owners and sole proprietors has broken out in Pavlodar. The cause of the contention is condominium facilities. Some residents of Pavlodar believe that the system of cooperatives has outlived itself. Labor veteran Yuri Raskopov receives two service bills, one from the old cooperative and the other from a new sole proprietor.
I'm used to pay the bills on the day they arrive. However, a couple of days later, I receive another bill. I hate it.
The pensioner decided to pay to the sole proprietor as he said that the cooperative does nothing. At the same time, the leadership of the latter believes that bills from the sole proprietor are illegal.
If there are calls from residents of these apartment blocks, I send maintenance workers there and they fix everything, no matter if people pay their bills or not. These blocks are our responsibility.
Sole proprietors prove the opposite, saying that their team does all maintenance works, and 70% of block residents have signed agreements with them. Thus, they have the right to provide services. They do not provide service to people and issue bills to them. They also say that Ustinova's bills are illegal. Now the conflict between sole proprietors and the cooperative of apartment owners is reviewed in court. Most residents prefer not to pay anyone until local service providers reach a compromise.
A sports bit at the end of the bulletin. Kazakh athletes obtained 40 licenses in 9 different sports for the participation in the next Winter Olympics in Vancouver, reports SportsKZ website. In total, 39 sportsmen from Kazakhstan will be competing in Canada this year. These were all major news from Kazakhstan for January 5th, 2010. Thank you for being with us and goodbye.